All right. Welcome to our July 1st board meeting. Thank you for coming. I see. Thank y'all, all my supporters. That's a joke. I'm going to call the meeting to order, and I'm going to ask Craig, would you do our invocation?
I'm gonna give you an update on David the third. He did get to come home at the end of last week. Called me Friday. He is doing good. His numbers are up. Everything seems to be moving in a positive direction in his favor.
Good. For y'all that may not know what he's talking about, David the third had a kidney transplant from one of his relatives, and both are doing.
Both are doing great.
David Morrow the third. He works in our office over here.
He only had one kidney to begin
Right.
with, so
Yeah.
this was critical.
Wow.
All right, Craig, would you pray for us?
We start our meeting by giving you thanks. Thank you, Lord, for being in a great position in healing and bringing David Marr to a place, Lord, where he can be recovered. Father, I thank you that you blessed him and his family. Thank you, Lord, for the service that they provide to our community, our county. Father, thank you that that family has given of itself, sacrificed so that others might be bettered in our community. And God, I just thank you for healing him, and I pray for his continued recovery. I thank you, Lord, for these servants, these men who are here today, using the skills and the abilities that you've gifted them with to serve their community. I pray, Father, that you'll oversee what we do and say here, that it'll be pleasing to you, pleasing in your sight. Father, that it will further the interests of all citizens of our community. Father, we can't end our prayer time without thanking you for those men and women that protect and serve us every single day. Father, thank you for those first responders, those emergency responders, our law enforcement personnel, Father, our ambulance service, all the guys that take care of us. I pray for our firemen, Father. I pray for their families. I pray that you bring them home safely in Christ's name.
Amen. All right, we'll move on to public comments, and it looks like I have Chuck Grogan. Chuck, would come up, give us your name and address.
Well,
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
I'm glad you guys look at some documents, please.
Good to meet you. Here, I got it extra. Oh, here. It's gonna be Jay's. Send that Jay's way.
Hello, thanks for having me today. I wanted to address the board regarding some issues that we've had ongoing in Castlewoods. It's a drainage issue. It's an issue that's been going on for probably 10 years. In May of 2022, we filed suit against the county regarding that drainage issue.
How did that work out? I don't remember, but how that, we were gonna do a part, and then the major part that they were complaining about was on them.
That in a nutshell is how it played out, Steve. The litigation has been resolved itself. However, it is not complete in that there is a project that has to be completed before the resolution of the case can be put to bed, so to speak. The process, the litigation was instituted as a result of some activity, some construction activity on Mr. Grogan, the lot that actually Mr. Grogan ultimately purchased. He purchased that lot, my understanding is he purchased it from Community Bank. So the board may remember that at that location, there was a house that was constructed, or partially constructed, shall we say, by a builder on the lot. And that builder, can't remember the name of the builder, but at any rate, that builder went belly up, and Community Bank ended up foreclosing on the lot and hiring another contractor builder to finish the house. In the meantime, it was discovered, I think residents in the subdivision discovered that the prior builder, the one that went out of business, had filled in a private drainage easement that is reflected on the subdivision
When you say
plat.
private, that would be maintained by the homeowner association or what?
Either the HOA or the property
Property owner.
owners who, over whose property that drainage easement is a burden. And so, when it was brought to the county's attention that had happened, the representatives of the county attempted to communicate with the builder, and found out that the bank had foreclosed on the property, so we directed our attention to the bank. The bank asked the second builder, the one that the bank hired to finish the property, they had that gentleman, his forces, to go in and effect some work in the drainage easement to address some of that infill. The way that the lot had been developed could not actually recreate the facts and circumstances on the ground as designed by the subdivision developer. So we basically just made the best of a bad situation. Is that fair to say, Tim? We required the bank then to come in through their second builder and address some of that infill,
So,
which they did. And then the house was ultimately completed, and my understanding is Mr. Grogan bought the house directly from Community Bank. Wasn't long after that we were sued by Mr. Grogan. And the allegations that were made was that the county is responsible for addressing all of the drainage, whether it's inside the road right of way or outside the road right of way. It didn't matter according to the lawsuit. Just sued everybody or sued the county and said, y'all gotta fix it all. And so the resolution is that the county will address the drainage situation within the road right of way. That's your legal jurisdiction.
When was that, Craig?
Within the past.
January of
3
this
to
year.
4 months.
Just let him talk right now.
Yeah.
I'll come back to you.
okay.
Yeah.
When was that addressed?
Earlier this year,
Oh.
and you guys authorized a project to be put together so that the county could effectively deal with the drainage inside the road right of way. Mr. Parker drew it up for us. That went to bid. I don't remember exactly when we bid you guys awarded the contract to, well, yeah, to a contractor that secured the highest and best, or lowest and best bid, and you guys issued a notice to proceed on that. What's happened in
And
the
that's
meantime?
been since March.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. So at some point in probably April.
So the notice to proceed, I think, was for the first week in May, when the contract time started.
Right.
And,
We did
I
our,
can take it from,
please do.
Kind of update you on where we are.
Yes.
To this day. So the contractor, mobilized in the first week of May, I don't remember the exact date. We knew we had a CenterPoint Energy, conflict back in January. They were notified in January of the project. In February, they said, hey, if we stay in our location and go to 9 feet, are we gonna be out of the way? We said, yeah, we're gonna be out of the way. You're gonna be out of the way. On, May 7th, the contractor got out there scratching around, and the gas line was 12 inches deep. So he pulled off. CenterPoint was expeditious. They were quick to come out there in the next few days and lower their line, but the contractor had pulled off at that point. So we waited on that. Flowwood had given us plans that said that their water line was outside of the right of way. Then when they came and marked it, it went inside the right of way. We spent the month of June, almost all of it, up to the 17th of June, trying to get Flowwood to mark the depth of their water line, to see if it could remain in place where it is. On the 17th, it was located. We think we can work with it where it is now. They've told us if we can't, when we actually dig down and start installing the inlet, they'll come out and lower it. At that point, it'll take a day. We talked to the contractor this morning. He's mobilizing equipment today. Materials should be delivered tomorrow, and we should, I don't expect a lot of activity over the 4th. Quite honestly, I hope it's not, because
This is a drainage outlet or inlet or whatever you call it at the road.
Curb inlet, yes, sir.
Curb.
Yes, sir.
So how long do you think it'll take him to do that?
Their contract is 30 days, so they should get in and out of there.
So it's really moved along pretty quickly with
All
all,
of the
I mean,
utility issues
yeah.
that just
We got no
nobody else
control
has
though.
control.
okay. All right, Mr. Grogan, go ahead and tell us your
All right, so
complaint.
first, Craig, I'd take some exception with what you said. The failure in that drainage pipe occurs several lots above mine, right? So it's on lot 80. And so that drainage pipe failed there.
Are you talking about in the road right away?
Pardon me?
Is that in the road right
It
away?
is not. It's on private property
What did-
in
how was-
a
How was
resident's
it
backyard.
resolved? We would take care of the problem in the road, with the county.
Yeah, we're gonna address the issue.
Okay.
Inside the road right of way, your legal jurisdiction, and we've made it clear, but it's not going to solve the problem.
That's,
The problem is the private property where the where the infrastructure was initially installed by the developer. That has deteriorated, it's collapsed, and it's failed. And so the system
So these
does not
property
drain.
owners want all these people to pay for their problem on
Yeah.
their lots.
Yes,
Okay.
yes, sir.
Go ahead.
And
Yep,
they sued us for that outcome.
right. So to that point, and I agree with you, Craig, the drainage pipe collapsed in a couple of yards up from me. So if you'll refer to slide 4, you'll see what occurs as a result of that. So on slide 4, when there is a heavy rain, water is forced up through the grate. It'll actually shoot up through the grate, and you'll see a flood, literally a river will come down through that easement ditch from the stormwater above. And it's stormwater. It's coming up out of the drainage pipe. Right?
Mr. Grogan, I'm not trying to interrupt you, but could you tell me that storm drain that water's coming out of?
Yeah.
What lot is that?
I believe it's lot 80,
Okay, I got it.
okay? And so there's a high volume water that comes up through that. I mean, I've got video of this. It's pretty amazing if you look at what that video actually shows you. And then on slide 5, you'll see it runs down the easement ditch at a pretty high velocity. I mean, it will carry a 5-year-old kid away. It would drown a 5-year-old kid. It literally submerges electrical transformers. There's
Why
so
don't
much
y'all
water.
fix it?
Pardon me?
Why don't the property owners fix it?
I don't own the property. All right, so that's why, there's 2 reasons I'm here. One is, I want the county to fulfill the commitment they made, and we're over a month behind.
It sounds like we're trying to do
Okay,
everything
well,
we can.
I'm not getting any feedback, right? So I'm requesting dates, what's going on, and I'm not getting anything but generalities.
Interesting. His attorney was updated by our legal counsel. Keep in mind, this is litigation.
Yeah.
Got lawyers involved. I'm not talking to Mr. Grogan outside of a public meeting
Right.
like this. He has a lawyer. I'll talk to his
That's
lawyer,
right.
period.
So I just need dates, Craig. You guys aren't giving me any dates, you're just saying, well, we've got a
You talked to your
conflict.
attorney?
Yes,
And he won't give you the
and
date?
we've talked with Trey, your attorney as well.
Maybe
And I'm
your
not getting
attorney
the
can talk to
feedback.
utility companies.
So if you
Feedback
would've
is
told me-
utility
The
companies need to
property
relook.
owner.
All right.
Excuse me, if you'd have told me what you just said, I might not be here today, right?
Okay, well,
But you
listen,
didn't.
I'm
Okay, so,
about to end this. We're not gonna argue
so,
back and
so here's
forth.
here's the thing, okay? One is to fulfill the commitment.
Sounds like we're doing that.
Right. The second thing is, to Craig's point, we are mitigating some of the water flow, but we're not fixing the root cause. So you guys are gonna do work at the street. I'm about to install a catch basin, and I'm gonna run water back into the drainage pipe that's open. And so you're gonna spend a lot of money. I'm gonna spend a lot of money, and we're not gonna have the problem fixed. So
But
what
you
I'm,
agree the problem, when it leaves the road right away, is on private landowners.
I do, but I also would
That's all.
suggest under 19-5-92.1 that the Board of Supervisors can, at their discretion, go into private property if it determines the health, comfort, and convenience of the inhabitants may be promoted, and you can do that.
Okay.
But you gotta decide you wanna do it,
Yes, sir.
right? So what I'm
This is
asking
in
you to do
litigation.
is how,
Sir.
All right, that's,
can you address the root cause of the problem? Go to the inhabitant, work with them, and let's get the root cause solved.
I agree.
Because we're spending a lot of money, guys, and we're not gonna get this fixed. We're gonna mitigate some of the water, but we're not gonna get it
Well,
fixed.
sir, you're the one who helped make us spend all that money.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, don't come complaining about it now.
Let me refer you to slide number 7, where you've got transformers completely underwater, and you guys are good with that.
that's
No, the
utilities.
utility companies apparently are good with that.
We don't
It's
put
the flooding
utilities
that's
on it.
causing the water, the transformers to be submerged, guys.
And the flooding is caused by property owners like you
And that's,
that won't fix the drainage that's on their land.
oh, I've
Okay?
fixed
We're
I'm
fixing our
fixing mine.
part.
It has nothing to do with my
Right.
property,
Well-
sir. It's lots above it.
Okay, well, the lot's above you.
Okay.
All right,
So that's what I'm here asking you to do, is how do you address that with that property owner so we don't continue to have
You
this
sued
problem?
us, why don't you sue them?
That, what kind of response is that?
It's-
I'm here trying to
You
figure out
know-
how do we fix the problem,
Well, it sounds like it's on private.
and that's the kind of response I
We
get.
can't do it on
Yeah,
private
it's
property.
on private property, and to my understanding, you know, with it being on private property, it sounds like the developer, whoever put it in,
Yeah.
there's an issue, it's collapsed,
Yeah.
and, I mean, we can't legally go on private property. I mean, there's issues like this all over in different subdivisions, you know, the same case scenario, you know, with, and that's what we're trying to, hopefully in the future, be able to, you know, pass something where we can get on private property, you know, to address these issues. But right now, we don't have the authority, you know, because we get these complaints all the time. And a lot of times, I'm not saying it's your fault or their fault, it's the developer's fault or whoever put it in and it's collapsed, but we're in a situation where we can't go out there on the private property to address the issue.
So how do you work with the property owner to get it resolved? How do you pressure the property owner to get it resolved? I mean, this is a problem that's affecting the inhabitants of your county.
Well, sir, this is not the isolated issue. We have this happen all over the county, and.
During storms.
Like our other supervisor just said, we're trying to get legislation passed to give us authority to get on private property to address these issues. So when the next legislative session comes up, we'd appreciate y'all's support to help make that happen.
You'll have that. So,
Remember, Economics 101, there are no free lunches. So when we do this,
I pay my taxes, man.
well, they may be, they may be a
Believe
little
me.
bit more.
So what I really came for was, one, for that date. Thank you for that. And
Aye.
secondly, is to request you guys help me try and get this root cause solved.
We are.
Okay.
I promise we are.
All right?
All right,
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Grover.
All right. Old business, have y'all had a chance, anybody have anything we need to bring up under old business for June 17th and 27th? Do I have a motion to approve the old business?
Motion approved.
Second.
Brad makes a motion, Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Consent agenda, have we had a chance, anybody have any questions on our consent agenda?
Motion approved.
Jay makes a motion to approve,
Second.
Sid seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. All right, Ms. Gilbert, Caroline Gilbert. Good morning. Good.
Good morning.
Okay, real quick, item A, authority to refund overpayment of 2024 mobile home taxes for PPIN 18653. The mobile home was incorrectly registered for the wrong dimensions and should have been registered as a different dimension. So,
All right, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion approved.
Brad makes a motion,
Second.
Jay seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
thanks.
Ms. Stacy, tax assessor.
Good morning.
All right, under item A, the request for approval of 2024 real and personal property assessment rolls and accept written objections by Monday, August 5th at 9 a.m. Public hearing for Thursday, August 15th at 9 a.m. and the authority to publish public notice.
All right, do I have a motion?
Motion.
Scott makes a motion, Jay seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Okay. And B, petitions to adjust 21, 22, 23 homestead exemption roll.
Make a motion.
Sid makes a motion to
Second.
approve. Brad seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, petitions for change of assessment on 21, 22, and 23 real property assessments.
Motion approved.
Brad makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Scott seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
All right, and then we have a request to void 22 and 23 tax sale for PIN 84262 due to erroneous assessment, and then issue a corrected tax bill.
All right, Do I have a motion?
Motion.
Second.
Brad makes a motion, Jay seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Last one, authority to avoid tax sale, the 22 and 23 tax sale for Pen 765 due to erroneous assessment.
All right.
Motion approved.
Second.
Brad makes a motion, Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. Thank you. Mr. Harrison?
Spanish land grab.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Request approval of Town of Puckett utility permit for Burnham Road.
Are they going under the road or having to dig the road?
Actually, I think this one they may be going trenching under it.
Now, this is where the city is coming under our road, and we're
Well,
just.
they're gonna trench through the road.
Oh, okay.
It's a gravity flow sewer, and they're trying to get it laid correctly. I've actually talked to Perry about this.
All right. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved.
Motion approved by Brad, second by Sid. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes. While you're there, Mr.
Oh,
Harrison.
hang on, I got one more thing.
Okay.
I need to add road work schedule and accomplish for June
That's
and
an
July.
All right, we need
I
to.
see it's not on here.
I make a motion to add that, all right?
I'll second it.
What's the time frame?
Month of June, accomplished, schedule
Got it.
for July.
Did you get anything accomplished?
We're trying to.
All right. Do I have a motion to add this to the agenda? Road work, completed, planned for the month of June and through July. Do I have a motion to add this?
Yeah, I'll make that motion again.
I'm sorry, Jay makes a motion.
Second.
Scott seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Now I need a motion to approve.
Motion approved.
Second.
Jay makes a motion, Scott seconds. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you, Mike.
Oh, don't you go nowhere yet.
Okay.
Oh,
I want you to address, while the mayor is here, I thought I saw him come in. In our last meeting, it was brought up that we have a stop work order on 40 acres where you have been clearing and grubbing.
Correct.
And it was alleged that we didn't give them any notification that this was gonna be going on, that we were gonna be clearing and grubbing and preparing a site, 40-acre site that's on our property out at Marquette.
Yes, sir. And I was not aware we had to notify the city on a clearing and grubbing project as long as we had our DEQ slip.
You had your what?
As long as we had our DEQ permit to move, to clear the trees and to move the dirt.
All right, I'm gonna go through this list that your office has prepared for me and see it. It was pretty clear that the mayor didn't know, so either he hadn't been updated or informed, or, I don't know. On or about 5/2, Supervisor Calhoun met with Mayor Butch Lee and revealed future plans on 40-acre property and discussed again on June the 13th of this year. On about April the 22nd, your office got a locate ticket, and it's got the ticket number here to locate utilities or sewer on that 40 acres. City of Brandon responded, no conflict by Randy Binkley, I guess he's a city employee. No phone calls were received or questioned. Week of May the 13th, 2024, it was determined that cross drain under the service road would need to be replaced. Drew Payne that's one of this county's employees, contacted both Rod and JT with the city of Brandon separately to set up an on-site meeting. After meeting, it was clear, no conflict, No response from the city on the relocate. Week 5/20, which is the next week, City of Brandon representatives was on site with Drew Payne, Mike Harrison, Richard Warren. A City of Brandon truck, F-350 dually, fell into a sinkhole on the service road above the cross drains. The City of Brandon employees stated they wanted to be on site when the cross drain was replaced. Mike, that cross drain on a service road.
It's coming in off East Mark, over there, by the concrete plant off of Delta, by Delta Concrete.
It's just a gravel.
When he come across it.
It's a gravel road.
Yes,
It's a
sir.
gravel road.
It,
Okay.
it fell in with him, which we knew the culverts were bad.
All right. On 5/22/24, one set of cross drains were replaced with the City of Brandon representative present and on site. 5/24, second set of cross drains were replaced with the City of Brandon representatives present and on site. 5/28, locate number for called in locate, their office called in a locate number, and I got the number here, where City of Brandon had utilities marked per Randy Binkley, whatever. And that
So
was,
28th and 21st, we requested for the sewer lines to be relocated, Steve, that's what that is. So we could identify exactly where they was coming down the main line.
remarked,
Yes,
remarked.
and, we've never had them marked besides the day the city official come out. And when we was changing the cross drains out, he located them that day. But we were trying to get the main trunk line that comes parallel with our property marked and staked off so we know where to come up the road with our site, so we wouldn't get on the sewer lines.
All right, 6/21, locate, submitted, locate ticket submitted, City of Brandon responded, no conflict by Ricky Binkley. No response from text with JT or Rod with the City of Brandon. That's up to, a week ago, a little over a week ago.
Yeah, the only locate we've had on the property is, Center Point with the gas line.
So you have kept them informed and asked
Yes,
to come out.
We've been in communication, cause that is a high pressure line coming through there.
All
We
right.
did everything that Center Point has required us to do on that project.
I think Steve is asking if
Yes,
we
sir.
may maintain contact with the City of Brandon concerning the location of the sewer. And this would indicate that there's been
Yes, sir.
there's been a good bit of communication directly with the city through Mr. Bigley or through whoever Rod or JT is.
Yes, sir. We've called in our locates.
And we have a stop work order put on us now,
Yes, sir.
until what?
I think the zoning.
My understanding
That's
of the meeting Thursday, until we get zoning corrected on the property. Is that correct, Craig?
That's what I understand.
As well.
I think Rankin First got a stop work order on area they've been clearing and grubbing also, right,
Yes, sir.
by the city. Okay, you have anything else?
I've got one thing that I'd like, while I'm up here, to address with the board. While we're talking about that, I've asked contractors, that are working for the city not to block the safe room gates or the equine gates. I've told them 3 times in the last week. We may have to open that safe room gate anytime, any moment because of a tornado warning or watch. Or I don't know what classes the sheriff has lined up. You know, we have a lot of law enforcement training classes. Just because the gate's shut don't mean we can just park vehicles in front of it and block it up. And, so with y'all's authorization, me and the sheriff just do what we gotta do, you know, on that if they keep on doing.
So they're staging in front of these gates?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
There was a truck parked in front of one blocking it this morning when I come through this morning, so.
all right, thank you.
Thank y'all.
Mr. Parker, County Engineer.
Thank you, Mr. President. The single item we have on the agenda, you should have a bid tab in front of you, is on Pelahatchie Creek flood mitigation at Pine Brook subdivision, program element 2.02. We took bids on that on June 21st. The low bidder was Southeastern Pipeline and Environmental Services. Because we were unsure where it was going to come in with the money, we had a base bid and 3 alternates. The base bid is $3,413,248.50. You can see the alternates there. The first alternate is to clean and put a camera in storm sewer pipes. Alternate 2 would be from the results of alternate 1, if some of the pipes need lining some of those pipes. And alternate 3 just gets into some additional pipes that potentially could need lining if we went with alternate 1 also. So we just need some direction on that.
So what did the bids come in?
When?
What?
The base bid is $3,413,248.50. Second low was $4,546,826.60.
Is this one of your
Where's that?
projects?
That's.
My
Scott.
district.
Okay.
How did that come in as far as your initial estimate?
The initial budget for this project construction was $3.3 million. What the budget is now, I am unsure, but I think it's close to that. I just haven't seen any numbers from our budget folks. Well, you can't do alternate 2 and alternate 3 without alternate 1. You certainly got to do alternate 1. And alternate 2 covers some of the pipes. Alternate 3 covers some additional sizes of pipes and more of the same size. So it's just a matter of how much of that you want to bite off. And we don't know. I would be shocked if every pipe in there needed lining. It might.
It's possible, some of them, after we look at them, might not need anything.
That's right, that's right. So you find that out in alternate 1. So like I said, 2 and 3 definitely you can't do them with, I mean, a
Without
contractor
one-
won't do
without
that.
one.
They physically can't do it without 1.
And 3 has the same thing as 2, just more of it.
And it also includes some larger pipe too.
Larger pipe.
Yes, sir, that's why it's
So most would be
considerably,
a little over $4 million on construction.
correct, yes, sir. And obviously, we can monitor that based on what we find. If all of it was awarded, we could monitor alternate 2 and 3 based on what we find in alternate 1, and would have a much better handle on it at that point. We'd prevent a change order.
This is one of our projects that is funded, we
Yes,
got
sir.
funding from the
Yes, sir.
state
Yes, sir.
and ultimately federal. All right, do I have a motion?
I make a motion that we approve the project with alternate 1, 2, and 3. All-
Base bid and alternate 1, 2, and 3.
Yes, base bid 1, 2, and 3.
All right. Scott makes a motion to approve 1, 2, and 3. Jay seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you, Tim.
Mr. Slade.
Morning, gentlemen.
Morning.
Item A under my section is to set a public hearing for the 15th of July, 9 a.m. for Anna Bethany and Avery Allman, conditional use permits, Highway 49. This is a District 3 property, just asking for a setting.
I make a motion, set.
I second that motion.
Brad makes a motion to set it. Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Item B under my section is a public hearing. This is for the Cypress Point Resort conditional use permit at 874 Hollybush Road. This is District 4 property. We'll open that public hearing. Cypress Point Resort is seeking a conditional use permit to convert the Farmers Market Safari Building into a sports-themed restaurant and bar with live entertainment. They are proposing to have a band inside the restaurant or outside at the back of the building under an open-air structure with roll-up doors. No changes will be made to the exterior of the building. Live music will be available Friday and Saturday, 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m. and on Sunday, starting at lunch. And then they have left it open for the board's discretion. They choose to to have respect for the surrounding neighbors as it relates to the hours of operation on that Sunday afternoon. So it'll be 3 days a week, Friday and Saturday, 6 p.m. to 10:30 p.m., and then on Sunday, lunch until whatever the board determines. This property is 8.44 acres. It's zoned C2. So that public hearing is open. I'll ask if there is anyone here to speak in opposition to the Cypress Point Resort conditional use permit request. Is there anyone here to speak in opposition on that matter? Anyone? Mr. President, I don't see anyone here to speak in opposition on the matter. I believe the applicants and others are here in favor of the application. I don't know what the board's pleasure is with respect to hearing from them. If the board doesn't have any questions, we can close the public hearing. Is the board ready to close the public hearing?
Yes.
We'll close that public hearing. At this time, it'd be appropriate to take action. And as a part of that action, do we have any conditions that we're setting other than that the board needs to set that closing time or that
Sunday.
shutdown time on Sunday afternoon? That'd be the only ones.
Steve, we actually requested Thursday, Friday, Saturday.
Okay.
And Sunday for the daytime until it's gonna be an early time, but it actually is Thursday.
Okay.
I may have messed that up.
Let's do Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday from midday to 6. And it's really different in different seasons. I hate to say 6, because right now it doesn't get dark till 8.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Sundown could work, Steve, because that's gonna pick you up
That's
during
good.
daylight
Good.
savings times.
Yeah.
That'll be done about 5 o'clock sometimes during the year. But then other times during the year, you
Yeah.
may be still going at 8.
Can we work with sundown?
Noon to sundown.
Yep. All right.
So Thursday would be
6 to
6
10.
p.m. to 10:30 p.m., Friday and Saturday likewise, and then Sunday would be noon to sundown. Would that work?
Yep.
Those would be your conditions that'll be inserted into the conditional use permit. From time to time, gentlemen, we set as a condition that this conditional use permit is not transferable without the authority of the Board of Supervisors. I would encourage you to consider doing that here.
Yep.
We know these folks. These folks are community people. But in the event that a conditional use permit is going to be transferred to folks that we don't know, we may want to have an opportunity to have a conversation before that transfer is made official. And so I would request that we consider inserting that as a condition, non-transferability of the permit without board authorization.
Okay. All right. There was some brief conversation about staging it, but we went away from that. We're gonna do it all at once. I mean, this covers both.
Yes, sir.
And there was some discussion about measuring the.
Sound system.
Yes. And I guess we have to work with Brian's office, community development, to where it's monitored and we have an acceptable level of sound leaving, when I'm saying leaving the property, the road, from both directions. I think the way it's setting, it's gonna be buffered toward Holly Bush anyhow. And then really the other direction, which would be toward Clark Creek Road.
Yes, sir. East of there.
Yeah.
That's right.
Screened it.
Yeah, some type of screening, and when I say that, we
Vegetative.
just, I guess we're gonna have to work through this. If we have complaints, then we'll revisit. Is that okay?
Yes, sir. What, we can insert, just for the purposes of a placeholder, Steve, that the board does have some concerns about the decibel level and the potential impact on surrounding properties. And so that the board would encourage the applicant to see to it that they address any complaints that come up with respect to the sound itself. Try to address those themselves.
Yep.
And if we need to, we can revisit the permit based on complaints that are received. We would do that anyway.
Yeah.
But just to make it clear in the permit that we want some attention given to the sound that potentially could be impacting the neighbors.
Okay. I make a motion, we approve.
Second.
All right, I made the motion. Scott second the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. I would like to recognize, I could just go down the list and call everybody's name out, but some people may not want their name called out because they're supposed to be at work right now. Let's see here. I see Jimmy Nichols back there representing, I can't say that. Should I not? Don't say that. Okay. I see Jimmy Nichols back there. I see Mr. Williams sitting on the front row. Our newly elected representative, Celeste Hurst, and my neighbor, Celeste Hurst, Johnny and Buddy McLean, who started all this, John McKay. There's others, and anyhow, thank all of y'all for coming and supporting this. I think it's gonna be good for the community. I think it'll give us a place to go and maybe not listen to rap music or something like that. But anyhow, thank y'all. It's been a little process to get through with this, but we're making our way through it. All right?
Very good. That public hearing is closed, in case I didn't mention that.
Y'all would like to leave, you can leave now, unless you just want to stick around for the rest of this.
Thank you.
Mr. President, item C under my section is a public hearing on the Jessica Downey nuisance property and a condemnation review at 121 Andrew Jackson Circle. This is a District 1 property.
Oh, Mo and Kelly, I didn't mention y'all's name. Thank y'all for coming too.
Again, this is a public hearing on the Jessica Downey nuisance property condemnation review at 121 Andrew Jackson Circle. Right, we ready to look at? We're going to open that public hearing. I'll ask Ms. Downey or anyone else here who may be representing Ms. Downey to be prepared to come forward and address the board. Brian will demonstrate with the photos.
Okay. We received a call about an emergency action needed on June 17th. Anthony Guy, our building official, met with Brett Ishii, David Lechuga, and Rankin County deputies to evaluate the need to condemn the property. The property owner was given 48 hours to evacuate the home. Certified mail was sent 6/18/24. Mail has not been picked up.
Was anybody there when anyone arrived?
My building official could
Yeah.
speak
Yes,
to that.
when arriving, I think it was three people living there. They were there trying to clean as much as they could. I mean, and those pictures that you see, that's animal feces, and tons of dogs.
Ryan, back up, please.
This way?
Other one. Right there.
Yeah, I
That's
bel-
dogs. I see it now.
I believe they removed, 9 dogs?
I think that's
I think
what
it was
they.
9 dogs that were removed.
That's it.
One with a gunshot wound.
Was way more than that.
Holy cow.
That's one of the animal shelters full
Okay.
right there.
9 dogs inside.
Ms. Downey here.
She's right here. How many dogs were removed? This is Miss Downey right here.
39 from the property, 9 inside the house.
Is anyone from the
Ms.
Downey?
Downey able to approach the board? Is she able to talk to the board? Okay, that's fine. Can you please explain who you may be and how
My
you?
name is Beth Haggerty, and I've been friends with her for about 20 years.
All right. Are you in a position to be able to help address the board about this situation?
I can try to
You
answer
can try.
any
All right, if
questions.
you'll come forward, please, give your name and address. I know that you don't, you're not an attorney.
No, I'm
So
just a
you're not in
friend.
a representative capacity, you're here as a friend.
Right,
Sorry to
yes.
put you in this position.
It's fine. My name is Beth Haggerty, and I live at 485 Holyfield Circle in Brandon.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Can you just
Can
tell
you
us?
help
like-
us understand the situation and maybe explain?
I've known her for 20 years, and it's been a long time since I've been at the house. they did have a lot of dogs in there, and they have been removed. I really don't know how they let it get like this. However, they have been working. The house does not look like that now. The inside of the home is now completely clean. Both of her boys are disabled with muscular dystrophy, and she's on disability as well. And her husband died in December, and it just has gone, downhill. But they've been working really hard. The garage doesn't look like that anymore. They've gotten half the walls torn down. They've got a lot of everything scraped out. We need to get a dumpster to get everything out of the yard. But the property looks a lot better than it does in these pictures now, and it is clean. When the storms came, she had a tree come through her roof in the back, and so me and my partner got the wood needed, and he took it over there, and her nephew and a friend of theirs, replaced the roof. So, the house is not falling down. It's a livable home. To condemn it, I think, is pretty strong.
Well, that's not,
it doesn't.
Somebody shouldn't have to live in that, and the kids are in a position to where they don't have a choice.
Right, correct. But like I said, they have, I've helped them. We've gotten, it doesn't look like that anymore. They've gotten, a lot of this scraped out. They've cleaned, they've disinfected, it's.
How old are the kids?
32 and 29, Jesse?
28.
28 and 32.
And when was the last time you were at that property? You personally?
Me personally,
Yes.
2 days ago.
Okay.
Well, this morning when I picked her up, really, but I didn't get out. But like I said, yes, they've gotten, it got overwhelming with the dogs. It is something that they let get out of control, and now they're gone. They've all been picked up, and but the bedrooms don't look like this. They've got lights, water, food, clean beds, everything. It was just the living area and this garage that was enclosed that is now halfway torn down, and I don't think it's condemnable. I really don't. They've been working really hard.
So that's gonna be up to the building department, I would think.
Why was there no
But
response to
it doesn't look like that anymore. It doesn't.
Is that the garage?
That was the garage.
Okay.
Yeah, her husband did construction. He brought a lot of stuff home he probably shouldn't have. And he worked for us actually. And so, this is something that we are able to help them, rebuild and get torn down.
Why was there no response to the letters?
What letters? We've called several times. I've called and left messages with what was her name, Jesse? Kathy, a lady named Kathy, and then I've called your office once or twice and left messages. So all we knew was to just be here at 9 o'clock, because we never got any responses on what we needed to do or what follow-up. There were 2 men that came out to the house one day and measured it, and they said it was for possible demolition. So we didn't know what demolition meant. Did it mean just coming in and helping get this cleaned out? I know it's not tearing down the house because it's not in that shape. Everything's in order. Everything, all the bathrooms work. This is a livable home. It was just the dogs got overwhelming, and now that they're gone and it's cleaned up.
Just so y'all know, this is actually a review for the purpose of you guys deciding or determining, based on what you hear today, whether or not you should move forward with a condemnation, okay? That no decision to actually demolish the structure's been made. That measurement was for the purpose of getting us an estimate of what it would cost if y'all decided to move forward. As long as there is activity to try to rehab this property, get it into a livable condition, then we can move forward in that way, and we don't have to worry about condemnation.
We need to schedule a time to get somebody out there, and for sure, there doesn't need to be
Again.
dogs.
Right. And the
No.
dog was other than the garage, it was in the living area of the
Just in the
home,
living room, yes.
but it was full of feces.
Yes,
And,
but those, yes, I hadn't seen it before these pictures. Until I went over there to try to help, but
Right.
it's completely cleaned and disinfected, and like I
Is
said,
that what it looks like now? Man.
yes.
This is what we took today.
Now, that wall going into the kitchen is, of course, down, and, the back door, is the back door still boarded like that so the dogs wouldn't jump on it? Replace that door? Okay.
I don't have an issue, I mean, if they're trying
But there's no
to-
furniture or anything, yes.
Right. If they're trying to clean up, and if our building department monitors it and make sure it's disinfected, clean, I mean, I'm not saying tear the house down. You know, but I'm just saying, hey, if some of the interior walls need to be, the sheet rock or paneling cut off to disinfect and get the house, you know, cause it's not fair for
You're
anybody
right.
to live in something like that.
You're correct.
You know, I mean, I'm not trying to force anybody out of their home, you know, or anything, but they need to understand it's got to be cleaned up, disinfect, and, you know, livable for, like say, she's got 2 disabled,
Yes.
you know, kids, you know, for their sake, and her
You're right.
sake too.
Mhm.
You know, but, like I say, I think if they monitor with the building department, and y'all keep an eye on it, as long as they're in touch, and there's progress going on, and it's headed to the right, you know, in the right direction.
How long, like, would you give us before you did another inspection?
What are you asking for?
I don't know.
I mean, 2 weeks can get a lot of cleanup done if somebody's on it, you know, whether you gotta hire somebody, I mean, you can get a lot of, cause it looks like it's, you know.
It doesn't look
right,
like that
it's got a good
anymore.
start. It's got a good start, you know,
Mhm.
I'm saying 2 weeks, if there's not any progress or, you know, something moving and there's some progress, you know, I'm not expecting it to be done, you know, in 2 weeks.
2 weeks,
But I'm
right.
just
At the end
saying,
of this month, we got another,
Yep, so it helps us if we can stage it so that at our next planning commission, instead that's gonna be at the
Okay.
end of July.
right,
I
Okay.
don't know the day, I think it's August the 1st, isn't it? So our next planning commission is actually August 1. If I could suggest that what we do here is that, let's go ahead and declare it a nuisance. It clearly is a
Right.
nuisance. But we're not going to move forward with any sort of demolition proposal. That will give them the 30-day period. We just won't take action. We'll go ahead and declare it a nuisance, but we won't take action. And then you'll revisit the issue on August the 1st and see where we stand on August the 1st. Have we made really good, substantial progress towards getting this property back livable?
but we're gonna need somebody from the community development office, building inspector, or whatever, able to have access to go in.
Sure.
With y'all's permission, Ms. Downey's
Toward,
permission,
say in
Toward-
3 weeks. And let's see what
and
progress.
get pictures.
In 3 weeks?
And then we'll be back here, we'll review those pictures.
Okay. So we'll come back on August the 1st for the,
County, and I hope you can convince your friend to come with you. It's really good to have good friends like this. August the 1st now, we'll need to be back here at 9 o'clock.
Okay.
Brian, do you,
And you'll be back in 3 weeks to take pictures, you say?
3 weeks. Brian,
Okay.
do you need contact information from her to
Yeah.
make sure this
Yeah,
blows?
well, I can,
Don't do it publicly.
yeah.
Okay.
We'll get
I'll get it to you in
yeah,
a second. Okay.
thank you.
All right,
One other question, a dumpster. Any referrals on where we can get a good roll-off dumpster, just waste management or?
there's several companies out there, I don't
Private
think we can
company, okay.
probably refer, but there's
I didn't know if
several.
y'all work with somebody other than maybe like waste management or
Right.
somebody.
Our solid waste contractor is Waste Management.
Okay.
They do us a good job. I don't
Okay.
know what their price is. on a
Sure.
private dumpster.
Okay. All right, thank you so much.
Once the property's cleaned, we do need to do a life safety
Yeah.
evaluation to make sure that it is safe to, you know,
Correct.
these egress doors, things like that, we're gonna have to go through and do a utility permit, a utility inspection to make sure it's safe.
All right. Will the lights and water stay on for us to be doing the cleanup?
As long as you pay your bill.
Okay.
We haven't turned off any.
No, it's okay. All right.
But just like them doors, you know, that's bolted up, you know, just so it's passes code when they inspect it, you know, there's a lot of stuff. Yeah.
Okay,
That's very important. We need to get that taken care of.
okay.
Any holes in the walls?
Right, yes, sir.
all right, Ms. Haverty. And if you're not 100% finished,
Sure.
we can revisit.
Okay. And go from there.
Yeah.
Okay, that'll work.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
See you.
All right.
Yeah,
You want, is that your
Make a
motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion.
We need, first, we're gonna make a motion to declare it a nuisance.
Yes.
Right.
And then we're
We
gonna
will-
revisit.
We'll ask the staff to hold that referral to justice court for at least a period of 30 days, which gets us to August 1.
Yeah.
That was C, right? So
Alright.
go ahead and declare it a nuisance
Right.
and then hold the referral up to justice court
I make a motion to
until
declare
August
it
1.
a nuisance.
Second.
All right. Sid makes a motion, Brad, seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Motion passes.
Gentlemen, the next item, item D, by the way, we'll close that public hearing if I didn't do that. We'll open a public hearing on the David and Page Key nuisance property condemnation review. This is 163 Pine Acre Place. This is a District 3 property. I'll ask Brian to demonstrate with the photos, and that public hearing is open. I'll ask Mr. or Ms. Key or anyone here on their behalf to be prepared to come forward and address the board.
On June 17th, Deputy Barta reported an uninhabitable manufactured home. We had some roof damage here. Deputy Barta sent in pictures, retrieved his body cam showing the condition of the inside of the home. Certified mail was received. Michaela Key, the daughter, called. She and her brother are planning to demolish the home and clean the property.
Morning.
Good morning.
I'm Michaela Key. My address is 216 Westover Drive in Hattiesburg. I am her daughter. As y'all may have been aware of the condition, my father passed away 2 weeks ago Monday, and that's where the body cam footage came from, is them going in and retrieving him. He had a stroke 17 years ago. 12 years ago, another aneurysm formed on his cerebellum, and so things kind of last 10, 15 years haven't been great, and his mental health got a lot worse, unfortunately, the last 6 years. He wasn't allowed at the property or out at the house because of the condition it was in, and I moved out about 4 years ago, and the condition of it was not like that. It was livable, everything else. The dogs, yes, I helped animal control on that Thursday to remove 13 of the 16 dogs. And they removed about 10 to a dozen cats, and they're still working on trapping the rest. But unfortunately with the heat advisory, they haven't been able to set the traps and come out as much. But I've been on regular contact with him every few days, checking in and seeing what his game plan is. We had 3D Construction, Bert Dupree, come out and give us an estimate on leveling, demolishing the property, and then re-leveling the foundation to put a new home on. So, and we got that estimate yesterday from him, which is much cheaper than all of y'all's contractors have promised. But that is our plan right now. She has not been back in the home since that Monday. She's been living with my brother.
In Madison.
Yes, and so.
First of all, I mean, sorry for y'all's loss. And I mean, it's a bad situation, and I mean, I think y'all moving in the right direction, getting this demolished and getting it removed, and, I mean, they shouldn't live like that.
Roof leaks and Katrina type home, not built the best.
So from the get-go, it was trouble, but, when
One by one should not be used as roof struts.
No.
Today, we're gonna declare it a nuisance. And of course, I don't know what 3D or the contractor that y'all choose him or whatever the time frame would be.
Well, it's mainly animal control we're waiting on. Animal control has to come in and remove the rest of the cats before they can tear down the property,
So right now, it's just biding time with the heat advisory and trying to get them. And once that get done, Dupree.
You're not accepting cats. Let's just tear it down.
Okay, there's a lot in there though, and there's probably at least 30 cats in there. So that's why he wants to come in and try and trap some of them, because there's just too many. And most of them are FIV positive, so they need to be trapped and euthanized. Feline AIDS.
Oh, wow.
So they do need to be trapped and euthanized. So that's why we can't just tear it down and have them spread out a bunch of places. We've got to try and trap them and take care of them as we can.
What's the legal, I mean, what can be done?
Who's doing the traffic?
Animal control.
Okay.
But they're on hold right now because of the heat advisory, and they're not allowed to set anything right now.
What are they gonna do with them, Brian?
Well, if they gonna.
They're dying, the trailer's too hot for them to be in the trailer.
Yeah.
Unless they have 24 hours where they can check them, it's
too long for him to
Yeah,
get in trouble.
so I plan on calling him and the animal control guy and getting with him. Me and him are going to go out there and try and trap some of them ourselves and
What
get
are you
them.
gonna do with them if you
We're
take
taking
them?
them out of patrol for him.
They can't take them.
Yeah, well, you just have to call and see, and if not, you can take.
Yeah,
it
she's
to-
been in contact with
Yeah.
the animal
Oh,
control
okay.
guy, and
Yeah.
she said basically we can bring them to him and
Okay.
Yeah, so I've talked to Kathy as well last week. I've opened every line of communication I possibly can, trying to get information and get this handled.
We thank y'all for what you're doing.
Yeah, we're being proactive.
And my mother's health has not been the best last 4 years herself, so, and she's dealing with some stuff herself. So unfortunately, stuff like this, when she works all the time, it just got away from her, and she's one person.
My thought here is that they're already making progress. Looks like some.
about 80% of the yard is cleared right now in the
Yes.
front.
So the conditions outside of their control, the heat advisory, the fact that we can't do anything about the cats, that's not something that they control. My thought would be, let's just hold for a period of 30 days, revisit
No-
August 1,
no
and see
action.
where we are.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we don't need to declare it a nuisance.
Well, I mean, we
Right.
could, Brad, we can go ahead and do that and just have that out of the way, to hold us, and that may be the advisable way, just declare it, but sit on it. And that's what we did with the prior example. So that may be the thing to do here, just to, so that they don't have to come back forward. As long as they're communicating with community development and we kind of know what the process, I'm sorry, where we stand at
Progress.
any point in time,
Yeah.
the progress. So my thought is, go ahead and declare it a nuisance, and then we'll just revisit it. We're not gonna do the referral up to justice court until we know that there's no other activity, that's likely to happen. Y'all understand that?
Yeah.
It just keeps us from having to revisit this at the same place every time.
All right, so my motion is gonna be declared a nuisance and revisit this, and just please stay in contact with Kathy.
And
Animal
y'all
control.
hold as long as they're making progress. All right, do I have a second?
Second.
Jay seconds it. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Again, sorry for y'all's loss, and I hope everything gets better.
Work with your mom.
Appreciate that. Gentlemen, there's one item that, it's an oversight, accidental, didn't get put onto your agenda today, although we were planning to have it on there. And that is a public hearing that was noticed for today on the adoption of our flood damage prevention ordinance. And so the board set this, public hearing on the 17th of June for today. So we need to open that public hearing, even though it's not on the agenda. We need to open that public hearing for the adoption of the flood damage prevention ordinance. If I could get a motion to add this item to our agenda, public hearing on adoption of flood damage prevention ordinance, and a second, and let's vote that as an add.
So moved.
Second.
All right. Scott makes a motion to adopt flood water damage, prevention plan, and this is to add it to the agenda.
Yes, sir.
Jay second that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. All right, we've added it. Now then, do I have a motion to approve?
Motion.
Second.
Wait, if I may, we need to have our public hearing.
Oh, you're right. That's a good point.
So,
Sorry.
yeah, we'll make sure we actually do that. Gentlemen, this is I would characterize this as a perfunctory matter. We do this each and every year. We address updates or amendments to your flood damage prevention ordinance. What is that? That's a document that has to do with where structures may be located. If so, what we're going to do to require before that happens, that we make sure that there's not going to be known flood damage that can occur in a situation where we ought to know better, if that makes sense. And so this is something that's required of us by the federal government, and so we want to, and by DEQ, and so we want to make sure that we're in compliance. So that public hearing is open. I'll ask if there is anyone here to speak on the matter of the adoption of the flood damage prevention ordinance. Anyone here to speak on that matter? Mr. President, I don't see anyone here to speak on that matter. We'll close that public hearing. At this time, it'd be appropriate for you to adopt your standing and amended flood damage prevention ordinance. I would need a motion to that effect.
So moved.
All right, Scott makes a motion.
Second.
Jay seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Mr. President, item E under my section is authorization of the board president to execute a grant agreement between Rankin County and Best Friends Animal Society that provides funding related to the animal shelter upgrades that have been discussed, facility and technology upgrades. County is obligated to authorize the upgrades on county property and to utilize the technology offered but there is not a financial commitment. It's grant funds that are being provided for this purpose. So both myself and the legal counsel for the sheriff have reviewed the documentation, and we are satisfied that it accurately reflects the decision being made for animal control, and it will be a benefit to our animal control process. I would recommend authorization of the board president to execute that agreement.
Hey, before we do that, hey, Sheriff, can you give us an update on how many total cats and dogs y'all got there at the animal shelter at this current moment? Or do you know that number?
You don't know. 39 for sure.
Add 39, whatever.
I mean, I'm gonna make a motion to approve item E, but I'm just curious. I know it's a bunch, and I mean, I think.
Keith, do you know the count on the cat? The quantity? Go ahead.
Ms. Calhoun, do you want to make that a motion while we secure this
Yeah,
other
that's
information?
my motion to approve, working with the Best Friends Animal Society, providing grant money.
All right, I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Scott seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
We good to move on?
Yes, sir.
And then we'll receive that information when the sheriff has it.
We can do an additional business.
Okay. This item F under my section, Mr. President, is a request authority to void 22 and 23 tax sale for Rankin County tax parcel I-1337. That's PIN number 35120. Refund the tax sale purchaser. Authority to void the 2023 tax received. The intent of this for this property was to be included in a deed of dedication to the county as a part of the road right-of-way. Due to an error in the legal, it was inadvertently left out of the legal description initially. A corrected deed of dedication will be obtained from the developer that corrects this issue. So we're just taking those tax sales off the books, and we are refunding the tax sale buyer. It should never have been offered because this was supposed to be public property.
Okay.
Just need a motion to authorize all of that.
Motion.
I made a motion.
All right, Sid makes a motion. Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor? Aye. Motion passes.
Mr. President, item G is something that we do routinely as an assistance, as an accommodation tax collector. We routinely and regularly find situations where mobile homes are being assessed as a part of the real property to various parcels around the county. And occasionally what we find is that the mobile home has disappeared. It's not been on the property for quite some time, whether the property owner themselves have removed the unit from the property or they've been damaged or destroyed somehow. Whatever that situation is, the unit is no longer there. The assessment needs to be corrected to reflect that the unit is not a part of the real property and should not have been assessed. And so this is cleaning up the records from situations that come to light from time to time. It's not unusual for us to do this way as a blanket document, but that's what this is, a blanket authorization to correct those. The tax collector provides an exhibit. It should be a part of your package that reflects each parcel where we're doing this. And so rather than go through these one at a time, we do them as a blanket item. So I just need a motion to approve item G.
Have a motion?
Motion.
Brad makes a motion.
Second.
Scott seconds the motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Do have an item in additional business that we'll want to address.
All right, Mr. Hicks.
Good morning. This morning, I'm asking for the board to approve an amended agreement with Environment Masters, and this is to add our EOC tower sites to maintain those. It'll be through the end of September, and just add that to our annual agreement.
We have air conditioners in all of them?
Yes, sir. 2 per site. I
Okay.
think they have a backup unit, or they switch back and forth.
You don't want that equipment.
What were we doing prior to now?
This is a maintenance.
Maintenance agreement.
I know, I was asking what
They,
were we
they
doing
would
up to this
just, they
point?
would just go out and get somebody to get a quote and service them. This way they'll be set up to be serviced every quarter, just like all our buildings. And it'll get done every quarter instead of,
When they break down.
yeah.
Gotcha. All right.
All right.
Motion approved?
Jay makes a motion to approve.
Second.
Brad seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Motion passes.
Gentlemen, if I may, I have one item that I would like to discuss before we get to the printed item, item A, under additional business. And it has to do with what we just talked about. In fact, cell towers. We have a newly adopted small cell service ordinance. You adopted that in late 2023. That applies to these 5G small cell locations. Typically, these larger service providers, your Verizons, your C-Spires, your AT&Ts, will come into various communities and they will seek to locate these 5G cell service, which are not your typical large cell tower applications. They're the smaller, much lower footprint.
About 20 foot tall.
Yep, and they will routinely look for opportunities to locate that inside of public right-of-way. You adopted an ordinance that requires those service providers to approach the county in unincorporated county and request permission to locate those services inside the public right-of-way, which is an appropriate thing. We should know where they are, and they should come into compliance with our requirements as it relates to road safety, visibility, and other things. And so your ordinance addresses all of that as a public concern and requires them to seek and secure a permit and to pay appropriate fees for all of that. Okay, and so you adopted that. As a part of reviewing that situation, which by the way has been effective and is serving us very well, and I highly endorse that we continue to move in that direction to stay on top of these service providers. One of the requirements that you have there is what's called co-location. We tell them on the front end, if there's a way for you to actually affix these facilities on something that's already there so that you don't have to install a new pole, you can use an existing pole, then you are required to do that. Find a way to co-locate. That's the first step in the process. We got to thinking about it, and what seems to make sense is that for the purpose of any sort of cellular service that's provided in Rankin County, it would be appropriate for the provider to first seek an opportunity for co-location. Instead of installing a brand new tower, is there a way for the facilities to be co-located on an existing tower? And to satisfy or exhaust that opportunity before they move to the standpoint of installing a new tower somewhere. And so we would suggest, and this is not asking for any action.
Is that even possible?
Yes, sir. It is, in fact.
Okay.
Now, possible is the right word, Supervisor Bishop.
Yeah.
Is it economically efficient? That's a different question. But in a number of these situations, what we find is that if it's a competitor's facility, it's highly unlikely that they're going to get permission to co-locate there, right?
You talking about the small ones, right?
I'm actually talking about the big ones.
Oh, okay, all right. Well, didn't we just get our hand slapped because we got crossways with the?
That was on a zoning matter and not so much on a permitting matter, Jay. That was a different situation altogether. It was going into an area, by the way, where there was no co-location opportunity. In fact, it was, there was no way that they were going to get permission because it was a competitor tower that was in close proximity. They were not going to get permission. So even if we'd had an ordinance that said you gotta exhaust co-location opportunities, they would have been able to easily meet our burden, and we still would have been faced with a decision on a zoning matter. So the answer is, we did sort of get our hands slapped, but not really. We made a zoning call on incompatibility and our friends at the Federal District Court in Jackson had a different opinion. Okay. They substituted their judgment for this board's. I think Supervisor Berry raised a good question last time we had something kind of like this. What's the use of Board of Supervisors if the court's going to tell us how to do it anyhow? And so the federal district judge had a different opinion about our decision on our zoning matter. He felt more strongly about the services being available to the community than he did about protecting individual property rights. And that's going to always be the tension that we find here. You know, we have the obligation to permit cellular services to be in place in our communities so that our citizens have access to it, right? And sometimes those considerations will trump other considerations that may be on the table, such as, is it compatible?
He said he wanted to add it.
All right, so what we need is direction from the board. Does the board wish to revisit its current cell tower ordinance to see to it that there's language inserted there that requires the service provider to exhaust all potential co-location opportunities before they submit a request for a conditional use application?
I think so.
Sounds smart.
Okay.
All right, we need to add this to the agenda.
Actually, we don't. You have now given me instructions, and I'll begin to work with Mr. Measles, who brought this to my attention, by the way. Brian is staying on top of things that we may need to look at. He brought it to my attention, gave me a note that reminded me to tell you guys we need to look at this. So I appreciate that. And so what you just said is that Brian and I need to get busy looking at it. If the board's going to be asked to do anything, it'll be to amend your current cell ordinance to address that. So you'll have an opportunity to act at a later date. We probably need to get some feedback from folks in the community, from cell service providers. We need to look at what other jurisdictions may be doing in that respect. And so there may be some additional updates to our cell tower ordinance that we want to make based on our review in that respect. CMPDD helps us pretty consistently with these things, and I have found great value in asking Dave and Gray to look at what other jurisdictions may be doing so that we don't reinvent the wheel or step out of bounds on something. And there's some other jurisdictions that are doing a pretty good job of forcing the cell providers to comply or to bring updated ways of doing things that makes more sense for the community. So we'll get busy doing that and circle back around to you. The next item under additional business that we need to talk about is the discussion. I think Mike brought it up about the City of Brandon contractor that is requesting to be able to access county-owned property that's adjacent to the right-of-way on Marquette Road as a laydown area for the City of Brandon's multi-purpose trail project that's being installed along Marquette Road. You guys have seen that. You're familiar with that. So as a little bit of additional information, we're having a little bit of problem with the contractor impacting county services at county facilities on county property, whether it be the safe room or whether it be the multipurpose arena, those accesses there. You also have facilities there that are county-related facilities, whether it be your Region 8 facilities and also your Child Protective Services, Department of Mental Health. There's several other services that are attenuated to county facilities that are going to be impacted by this project. And so before we do anything official, I wanted to ask the board to give direction whether or not we need to be formal in our notification to the city and to the city's contractor concerning impacts on county services with respect to the multipurpose trail project. Do we want to formalize that? I'm asking, am I to communicate formally on behalf of the board with the city and the contractor about what the rules of the game will be with respect to this project. That's what I need to know.
Well, based off what I just heard Mike say earlier, I think absolutely.
I mean, there's plenty of room across the road at the old cement plant. I mean, they can stage there, put park equipment over there, couldn't it, instead of in front of the county owned.
Yeah.
Yes, I know that, that a portion of this project,
I
we've
got a
already,
feeling one of them might be getting towed shortly.
my understanding is that a portion of the project will require, I think at present, as planned, as the project is being planned, and as it has been designed, a portion of this project will require some fairly significant construction activity to take place. I think the Region 8 facility is the one that's going to be most impacted, where you've got a steep grade from the elevation of the building down to the ditch along Marquette in the road right-of-way. There's a fairly steep grade, a fairly aggressive grade there. In order for the multi-purpose trail to be installed at the planned location inside the road right-of-way, you are necessarily going to have to construct, as planned, construct some sort of retaining wall. As that part of the project is undertaken, the contractor is going to take offline a number of parking spaces associated with the Region 8 facility. And so my question is this board interested in this project proceeding as planned in light of the fact that there will be a substantial impact to the use of the parking facilities at Region 8 for some period of time?
Can we, Mr. Mayor is here, can he speak on the timeframe or?
Totally up to the board to decide who addresses the board about this. I'm giving you the information that I'm aware of. We've been approached by the contractor for the city for permission.
Who's the contractor?
I don't remember. Thornton Construction. We've been advised by Thornton Construction that they will need for the county and for those facilities to notify their employees not to park in certain places as this project unfolds. And that's because they're going to need access to those parking spaces for equipment and activity associated with the project. So my question is.
We need to give Region 8 and find out if they're being used.
Let's put this on hold, not allowing it until we get everything worked out. I think we're under a stop work order.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So
let's digest it.
Yes. So I think from the standpoint of my responsibility, it is to notify the contractor and to notify the city that this board does not expect the contractor to move forward with anything associated with the multipurpose trail project that impacts any county property or properties that are housed on county-owned property, such as Region 8, such as mental health, such as child protective services, et cetera, those social services. Any of those facilities, including any of the county-owned property, they are off limits from contractor activity until we have resolved all matters with the city of Brandon. Is that what I'm hearing?
Sounds good to me.
Okay. In addition to that, I was asked to address with this, and by the way, that's all that I need. I don't need anything official. I will communicate that effectively on your behalf to the appropriate parties. The next item that we want to address as a part of this is the county's participation with respect to specific tax increment financing projects that this board has previously authorized and noticed and taken action on. The question is, do we want to revisit the county's participation in any one or more of the various tax increment financing projects that may be out there? And if so, which ones should I be expected to prioritize and to address first? That's where I need some help.
I think both of them that are in Brandon's the only two we have going on.
Right.
Yeah.
And so there may be one other that relates to an Underwood project, Jay, that has not reached a state of finalization that may be out there, that the John Underwood TIF project that I think I call it the Starbucks project. It's the one that's kind of down in the hole. The other two that I'm aware of, one is called Orleans Way. That's euphemistically, that's how we refer to it, Orleans Way. I would refer to this one as the Home Depot TIF. That one, and then of course the other one is the Brandon Hotel TIF project that my understanding is in some state of review at present. And so my question is.
So what we need to do to put a halt to that?
Which one, are we doing both or?
Or all three?
All three. So what we need to do is to schedule and put it out, I think appropriately, just as a matter of courtesy to the developers in each of those. We need to put them on notice that this board intends to revisit the county's participation. I think that's the appropriate first step.
Do we need to take action on that?
You don't need to act necessarily. You need to instruct board council to make those notifications in writing and to put them on notice. My thought would be that we stand this up for consideration at the next opportunity, this board's discretion, perhaps the mid-July meeting. We can have an agenda item. And this way it'll give me an opportunity, Jay, to look to see precisely what do we need to do to revisit that in light of the fact that the board has already acted. But I would propose that we consider maybe the July, is it 17th? The July the 15th meeting, that we look at having agenda items. Obviously, I'll have an opportunity to better review that. But I think the notification needs to go out ASAP to the developers on each of those projects that this board intends to revisit the county's participation. That's going to have a measurable impact, by the way, on their plans, because if the county decides, if this board decides to withdraw its current TIF participation, they are not going to be able to debt service any of the bonds. They won't be able to do that without the county's participation. And so they need to know that before they invest, before they finalize any plans. They may have to make adjustments to the size or to the scope or to the scale. They may decide to simply withdraw the project and find another location.
So I may be out of town the 15th. Can we move it to our next meeting?
Yes, sir. So that would be the August the 5th?
Or we could do it the 25th. Will we meet the 25th?
No, it's August the 1st.
No, I'm talking about July. Or we usually
Yeah,
have-
well, the planning commission is on August 1st.
all right, August 1st then.
You want to do it at the planning commissions, Jay?
Yeah, because it's a good possibility I'll be out of town 15th. And I apologize for not being here last week, guys.
I explained to him.
All right.
Okay, so we will look at putting an agenda item on the work session, August 1, to revisit the county's participation in all three of the City of Brandon tax increment financing projects. Okay. Thank you, gentlemen. That's all the direction that I need.
Keith, do you have any additional business?
Do we have executive session?
Yes, I think we do. Do we have a need for executive?
Yes.
Do we have a need?
Just 1 minute.
Okay.
There you go. Property acquisition, gentlemen.
We're almost
All right.
out of this too.
Do I have a motion?
I make a motion to discuss the need for executive session.
Do I have a second? Jay makes a motion. Do I have a second?
I second.
Sid seconds that motion. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All right, now then.
make a motion, go on executive session for property acquisition, I suppose.
All right, Jay makes a motion.
I second.
Sid seconds a motion. All in favor? Aye. We're in executive.